Hi friends, it's Deanna here today, and today we're working on the Staycation dress and top pattern. I am obsessed with this dress because I'm all into the different tiers on the dress, and this dress just makes it all possible. It's got a different option on the neckline, it's got different options on length, and I'm just super excited about it. So let's get to it. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and start with our bodice. So I've got my back bodice and I'm gonna lay it out on my mat, and I'm gonna place my back bodice right side up, and I'm gonna place my front bodice right side together on top of it and match those shoulder seams. And I'm gonna go over there and sew them up. I am going to be using my serger for this sew, but any kind of stretch stitch on your sewing machine would do the trick with this as well. I know I get that question a lot. Can I use my sewing machine? Yes, you can. And we also have a tutorial here on our channel about how I sew up some clothing items, actually a top, with just my sewing machine. If you want to check that out, if you have any questions, there's some tips and some tricks on there. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew those shoulder seams. Alright, my shoulder seams are sewn, but I wanted to mention, if you are using fabric that is very, very heavy, well, in the next few steps when we attach the skirt, I'm going to tell you we're going to use clear elastic for stability at the waist. But if you're using a fabric that is very, very heavy and you have a lighter fabric up top, you may also want to add some clear elastic at your shoulder seams to help you with the weight of the fabric as well. So it's up to you if you want to add that on there as well. And when I show you how to add it to the waistline, you can do it on your shoulders as well. It's up to you. There's also other videos on here that show different ways to add it on and whatnot. But now we're going to go ahead and move on to putting our sleeves on. So I like to grab my sleeve, and as it's folded in half, I'm going to go to the top half right here and mark it with a little notch, as you can see right there, and that's where I'm going to place it right sides together onto that arm side. This is my shoulder seam. I'm going to place that right there and clip it on, or use a pin, whatever you use, and then we're going to go down right sides together to the edge, and then make sure those raw edges are touching, and just clip or pin, and then do the same towards the other side and the other sleeve as well. Alright, so we're gonna sew that up, but while I'm at it, I'm gonna put that aside and I'm gonna prep my neckband. I'm doing this scoop neckband, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold it, well, you could do it for both neckbands. I'm gonna fold it wrong sides together and give it a memory crease. We do this because then it's easier once we sew it on the round to fold it back up when you go to sew it on, so your fabric doesn't just slink off and try to move around. It's easier when you have this crease right here to help you keep that fabric tame. Okay, and now that we have that crease, we're gonna go ahead and grab those two raw edges and sew them right sides together right here at that raw edge. I'm gonna go ahead and do both of those things over at my serger. Alright, now we're gonna go ahead and, whoop, I just went everywhere. We can go ahead and sew our sides together, our side seams, so make them right sides together and match that armpit seam right here, and then go down one side, go down the sleeve, and then once you go down the sleeve, go down the side seam. So they're just right sides together, so all those seams are on the inside. And do the same on the other side. So sew those sides up. Now you can go ahead and do that and then come back, but you all know I like to do everything at the same time. So I'm gonna go ahead and quarter for my neckband. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my two shoulder seams and go to the back and mark it, and I'm gonna do the same thing I did for the sleeves, where it's like cut up this little tiny bitty piece right here. And honestly, I cut it so small that it gets eaten with my seam allowance, so it doesn't hurt it at all. But if for some reason my neckband comes unclipped or unpinned, I'm not like, oh no, where's my quarter? I already know because I have a little notch to tell me. So now I've got my shoulders and I'm going to the front again. And then I'm gonna match my front and back together and go to the sides. Your shoulder seams are not your quarters. You see, this is my shoulder seam, this is my quarter. So we need to make sure, because obviously because this is a scooped, your neck is lower, but you want to make sure that your band is going to go on there evenly. And if we don't quarter very nicely, if we don't quarter evenly, it's not going to go on there evenly, and then we like really tight on the front and really loose on the back, and you do not want that. You want it to be just perfectly so. So it looks really good. Then we're gonna grab our neckband and we're gonna fold it wrong sides together. This is where that memory crease comes into play. Now it's super easy to fold. And we're gonna grab the back seam and go to the front, and here's my half. And then I'm gonna match my front and back together and go to the sides. And those are my quarters. Y'all, I am so excited for this dress. This is the dress of my dreams. I wear these type of dresses all the time, and I'm just so glad that I can make them and do all the different kind of color combinations. I'm gonna show you. So I've had this dress pinned for a while on my like screenshot it or whatever. I don't even know. Anyway, and so when this pattern came out, I'm like, yes, I'm going to try this colorway out. So it's like mustard. So I'm doing like polka dots and stripes and solids and this cream. So you'll see, off-white, whatever color it is. I think you're gonna like it because I am like so obsessed over it. I'm hoping it works great. So now I grab the back seam and place it right sides together of my neckband to the back of my top. Now, and then match all the quarter points. If you're having issues with your neckband and you say, Deanna, I need a little bit more help, that's all right. We've got you covered. We have a video here on our YouTube channel. It's called Bands, Bands, Bands. And if you are still struggling after that, there's also another video by the lovely Sonia on here as well that talks about neckband. So different ways, you know, to get the neckband on. So go check those out if you're struggling still with neckbands. Neckbands can be a little bit of a pain. They get a lot easier the more you do them, I promise. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and sew the side seams and the neckband on. All right, our bodice is basically done. So you can go ahead and give that neckline a good steam. Looks so good, looks so sharp. I love this color, it's beautiful. Anyway, and we will hem the sleeve at the end when we hem everything up. If you want to hem it now, you can go up and do that. If you want to top stitch your neckband, you can also go ahead and do that. But for now, I'm going to put mine aside. Now, I am making, like I said, the maxi dress, so I've got a longer tier, but if you're doing the peplum, it will be a little bit shorter, and then if you're doing the to the knee, it would also be longer, so it really all where you're going. If you're doing the top version, it is not recommended to do pockets with that one, but I'm going to do pockets because I'm doing the dress version, and who does not love pockets? I love pockets. So I'm gonna grab my pattern piece, and here's my mark. There is a mark for your pockets, and I'm gonna grab my pocket, and we want it to face down, and then right sides, I'm gonna put it right on top where I want to, where that mark is. So I know exactly where my pocket is going to go, and then I'm going to just clip it to my skirt, right sides together. So just to the one side of my skirt, and then I'm gonna clip it to the other side of the skirt as well, and then we'll sew it on. So as you can see, this one is facing down, this part is facing towards the bottom of the skirt, and here is the top edge of the skirt, and I've got one to the right side. Now if you want to just do one side of the pockets, you can do that. Just make sure that you put the same side, the one that faces it, on the other side of your pattern. So like, if I want to have one pocket, I want that one on this side, and then look, this face right sides together, so I want the other pocket to be on this side, so then you have that same pocket on both sides of your dress. If not, if you want two pockets, sorry, you need to have 4 sides. So here's the one side, then I'm gonna flip it and put the pocket on the other side. And the reason I can do that is because I still have it folded on my half, so that's why these are my 2 sides. So I'm just going by that and clipping my pocket on the other side. So now I have pockets on both sides of this panel. There it is. Okay, and then I'm gonna do the same for the other panel. So I have 4 pieces of pocket, and then I'm gonna go over and I ran right over my pattern piece. I'm gonna go over to my either sewing machine or your serger and sew those pockets to that raw edge. All right, now that those pockets are sewn on, we're gonna go ahead and grab our 2 tiers. So here's one, and then we're gonna put the other one right on top, right sides together. And let me turn it sideways so you can really see it. Now, so if you chose not to do pockets, then you'll have just a straight seam right here, but I have pockets, so obviously I'm gonna have to go around my pockets. Now, before I do that, if you would like to, you can steam that seam down and do an understitch, which is sewing the fabric to the other side, or sewing it in right here, or you could do a top stitch right on top to keep the pocket from coming out when you're wearing the dress. It is up to you if you want to do that. I'm not going to do that on this dress. I don't know, sometimes I feel like I don't want to fight with my sewing machine so much, and I don't think it changes so much of my look, but it is recommended that you do so if you don't want that pocket to stick out. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place them right sides together, my 2 layers. And if you don't have a pocket, you're just gonna go straight down and sew that seam. But since we have a pocket, I'm going to go down and then go around the pocket and then down again the other side. And we're gonna do that for both. You can do that. Sometimes it's easier going on your sewing machine and doing like this side right here, like around the edge. To prevent from getting like a hole right here, like a gap on your pocket. So you can do that. What I do, and some people do not like this, so this is just my preference. I do with my serger and I go down, and when I get to the pocket, I pull my pocket down so it's straight, and I keep going, go all the way around, and then when I get right here, I pull my pocket straight and go all the way down. And that seems to work for me personally, but like I said, some people do not like to do that because they feel like it might make the garment plucker in a way that they don't want. So this is up to you. I just find that to me, that works easiest for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew both of those sides together. All right, our first layer, or your 1 layer if you're doing the peplum top, is ready. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and I'm just gonna go ahead and quarter it now. So mark my halves. My sides are my halves, my quarters, and then my halves are to the 2 sides. So I'm just gonna go ahead and mark that now while I'm at it. Because we're going to go ahead and gather this the way the width of our bodice to attach it on. So I'm gonna do the same for my bodice, mark those. Now, gathering, there are so many ways to gather, and gathering can be a little bit of a pain in the bum for some people if they, really dislike it. Gathering knit can be a little bit painful, but there are so many ways of gathering. I will attach a link to one of our videos that shows different ways of gathering. Also, another thing is that we always advise to add that clear elastic to the waistline, because knit fabrics tend to droop, you know, they're pulling down. And being that this is a tier dress, you have different layers that have a lot of weight to them. So they're going to start, by the end of the day, your top half is going to be pulled by that bottom fabric. They like to do that. So adding the clear elastic gives it stability so it doesn't pull so much, and it keeps your garment level. Some people do not like clear elastic, and that's okay if you don't want to add it, but we just recommend for the better look of this pattern to use the clear elastic. Now, there's different ways to do that. You can go ahead and apply the clear elastic directly to your bodice first. So you could cut out the clear elastic and add an extra inch for handling and sew it on. You do not stretch the clear elastic when you're attaching it to the bodice. You want it to be the size of the bodice. You can also gather your skirt, pin it, and then as you're sewing, you can go ahead and add that clear elastic. And in that, I'm attaching, there's a video on our YouTube page that talks about how to add clear elastic. It shows all those different methods. Now, my favorite way to do clear elastic, and honestly in any gathered skirt or dress like this pattern, is to actually do my gathering with the clear elastic. I think it just makes things so much easier because you're doing both things at the same time. You're gathering and you're adding that stability of the clear elastic both at the same time. So I hope it's okay with you. That's the way I'm going to do it on this tutorial. Now, if you choose not to do it that way, that is okay with me. That's all right. There's also another YouTube video where I show you how to just add the elastic on there. So you can check that out. And if you don't want to do elastic, that's all right, like I said. So all you would do is just gather this bottom piece, the width of the top, however you want to gather, and attach it on. And that's what we're gonna do for all the different layers. So the next layer, we'll sew the sides, we'll gather the width of the bottom of this middle layer and sew it on. Same for the last one. And I'm going to be using clear elastic on all of them. So I'm going to be gathering with clear elastic on all of them. And honestly, when I first started using clear elastic, I was so scared of it. But it makes things a lot easier, I promise. So I'm gonna show you just how I do that. All right, so here's my clear elastic. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna measure it out the width of my waist. So basically, just go all the way around and here it is, okay? We want it to be the exact width. Now, I don't cut my elastic. All I do is, here's my front. I'm going to mark my quarter. So here's my quarter piece. Just put a little dot on there. You can just put a pin on there, but I find that marking it with like a permanent marker or something helps, because sometimes, there's my side, because sometimes my pins come off or my clips come off and then I'm like, what, where's the half? So, and I don't want to give it a little clip like I do my fabric because it's elastic. I don't want to rip it. So I just mark all my quarters on my actual elastic. So there it is, they're marked. And then I do put a clip right there just to kind of show where it's at. All right, so now what we're going to do is this right here, it's my beginning. So it's gonna start right here at the back quarter point. This is my back quarter point. And so when we go to the sewing machine, because I'm going to attach this to my skirt with my sewing machine first, I'm going to do like a zigzag or any kind of gathering stitch. Even you could do it with a straight stitch, but I like to use a zigzag. And I'm going to grab my elastic and pull it to that first quarter point. So matching up that quarter point of my elastic to my first quarter point on my skirt, and it's going to gather it as I sew it. See, I'm gonna sew it on, it's gonna go boop. You'll see, it's actually really, really cool. Sometimes I kind of, if I want to, instead of just doing quarters, I do eighths. So I fold this in half and I mark my quarter right there that way. I don't have to stretch as much, but that is up to you. So I do that first, and then when I get there, I turn it and I go to the next quarter point and pull. I'm gonna go show you on my sewing machine. All right, here we are at my sewing machine, and I've got my zigzag stitch set up. I've got it for a little bit of a longer zigzag stitch. I just find that that's easier on me, so that's why I do that. You can do a however size stitch you want to do. So we're gonna start at that quarter point right there. So I'm just gonna place that under my needle, and then sometimes I actually leave, which I didn't this time, I don't know why, but sometimes I usually leave like an inch in the back where I can hold it so it starts easier, but I didn't do that this time. It'll be fine. So I'm just gonna start it slowly, let it latch on, and then I'm gonna go to that first quarter point like I said and just kind of hold it right there and pull my elastic. As you can see, it's flushed right here and it's pulled all the way in, and then we're gonna start sewing. Keep going all the way. And I move my fabric so that my elastic stays right at the top. See, I'm almost to that half, so I'm just to that quarter, I mean, right there. Alright, and I'm gonna show you how, look, it already gathered the other side. How cool is that? And then when I go to sew it on, this elastic will be encased by my quarter seam allowance, because this is a 1/4 inch clear elastic. And look at how perfect those gathers looked. So evenly, I love that. So I'm gonna go all the way around doing the same thing. And then I'll trim my elastic. Right there. But look at that gathering. So awesome. Y'all, I'm really upset because my camera seems to have a mind of its own and it did not focus on my actual gathering. As you could tell, it focused more on what size stitch I was using. So it didn't even let you see how great of a gather it did. So what I'm gonna do is I'm also gonna show you again a little bit closer up when I gather the next piece, because we're gonna gather different pieces. So now that this is gathered, and it's gathered the exact same as my dress, and my elastic's already in there, and it's a perfect gathering, we're gonna go ahead and fit our dress into our bodice, into our skirt, and match those quarter points that we had already created here. And then I'm just gonna sew them together. Now, if you did not do that, if you did the gathering method first, you would have gathered first and then right sides together, attach those. Same concept, same thing that I'm doing. I just feel like this is much easier. What do you think? Let me know below. And I know you didn't get to see it very well, so I'm gonna do it again on my next piece and show you closer and make sure that my camera is actually focusing. But also, like I said, that tutorial on how to add clear elastic will show you that as well. So I'm gonna go sew this one on, and then we're going to sew the two sides together for our next layer. Sew the sides together, there will be no pocket. The second layer, which would be for the knee length, or you know, if you're doing a maxi, you'll do a second layer and then a third. That second layer is just, obviously no pockets, it's just the sides, and then we're gonna gather the width of this bottom piece right here. So I'll grab my elastic and I'll measure the width of this bottom piece, and then we'll go gather, and I'm gonna show you how to do that. Alright, so if you're doing the peplum top, you only do one layer, so you are done now. But since I'm doing the maxi, we're gonna continue on. So I'm gonna put this one aside for a minute. I'm gonna grab my next layer, and like I mentioned earlier, we're gonna go ahead and sew those raw edges, the sides, together to create one long skirt hoop. So I'm gonna match them right sides together and sew it up with my serger, my preferred stretch stitch. Now, you know what? Because I am working on the maxi, and so I'll have another tier, I'm gonna go ahead and grab that other one and sew the sides together again as well, so that way they're both prepared. So my next couple of tiers will be prepared. So this one is got 3 tiers because, you know, the farther down you go, the more width you want on your skirt. So we're gonna go ahead and place one right side up right here. Then we're gonna place the other one right side on top and match those right sides together right here. And then the next one will be on the one edge because we want to create a circle essentially. And let's go sew those up. So I'm working with double brush poly and I get this question often. How do I know which one's the right side of the double brush poly? Because sometimes it's hard to tell. What I like to do is I like to grab my double brush poly and look at the grain line. When you stretch the double brush poly, on the back side, it's kind of fuzzy. I don't know, you probably can't tell from the camera, but if you are looking at it closely, it's fuzzy. But from the right side, when you pull it together, you can really clearly see the grain line. So the side that you can see the grain line on, that's clearly the little stripies, that's the right side. And the side where it looks fuzzy, you can see it, but it's fuzzy, you know, that's the wrong side. And that's how I usually, if it's a double brush poly, sometimes it's hard to tell. That's how I usually can tell. But honestly, if it's hard for you to tell as you're sewing, nobody's gonna know when you're wearing it. So don't worry about it. That's my motto. Don't worry about it. All right, so I'm gonna show you once again how to do the elastic. We got, if you're not gathering with elastic, that's all right. You can do this part by gathering first and then adding the elastic. If you don't wanna add the elastic, you don't have to. Again, the reason why, so it doesn't pull down. So it is recommended. But first I'm gonna go ahead and quarter my skirt because we did this to the bodice, but now we're attaching that skirt to this one. So this is what we're going to count, what we're going to gather the next layer, like how wide we're gonna gather it. So we're gonna go ahead and mark it. And then I'm gonna grab my elastic, my clear elastic. I have to open a new bag because I ran out. And we're going to go and measure it again like we did earlier and mark it. Like I did earlier, I used my Sharpie and here's my quarters, my half, and my end. All right, and now we're gonna head over to the sewing machine and I'm going to try to focus my camera right on it so I can show you exactly what I do. Because this is a longer quarter here, you can cut that in half and not cut it in half, but mark the half of that, so the 1/8, and it'll be easier. I think for my longest layer, I might do that. I think for this one, I'm fine not to do that, but this is also up to you to make it easier on you. And I do not cut my elastic, I'll do that at the end. Before I can gather, I gotta get my fabric that I'm gathering, my piece that I'm gathering. I was gonna go gather the other piece. This is the one I'm gathering, the width of the piece that I just marked over there. But I did mark it, that's fine because I'm going to need it, the marks, to attach this one to it later. But this is a piece we're gathering the next one. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark it. Don't know where I put my scissors. Here they are. And then I'm gonna go over there and sew the elastic on. I was like, that's not that long of a gathering stitch. Yeah, because I was looking at the other one. But this is how long each quarter is gonna be. So you might wanna mark the half of this. That way you don't have to stretch your elastic all the way down and pull it. It's up to you. All right, so we're gonna grab our piece and here is my half right there. I'm gonna grab my elastic and put it right on top and close it, put it down, right on it, my needle down, and we're gonna get it started by starting that zigzag. Then I'm gonna grab my first quarter point with the first quarter point of my skirt and I'm going to pull my elastic all the way to that quarter point. And I know you can't see it because it's all the way back. And if you want to do half it, sometimes I grab like where the half is get it all even, grab where I think would be like half, and then I pinch it right there and get it ready, and then I go. I keep my elastic really close to the edge, so that way when I go to sew it, my skirt and my bottom together, my seam allowance right there, quarter seam allowance, will catch it. Before I continue, I'm going to show you what it's doing. It is gathering it right there as it goes. I'm going to continue to do the whole way around. See, when I get to the end, it's good to have that mark, because now I just pull it, that mark on the quarter point, and go. Then I just do the other part. Again, do the same thing for all the quarters. Right here, when I get to the end, I just overlap those two together, and that's it. My dress is gathered. Evenly gathered. All right, so that was a much better focus than the last time. I hope that made sense. Again, we have a video that shows it a lot better. If you need that extra help, look at how good that gathering came out. Perfect. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and attach this tier to this bottom tier. So right sides together once again, and then I'll go on and do my last tier again, doing the same thing, gathering and then attaching it, and we'll be done. So let's go ahead and get those done. All right, so that was our last section to gather. Now all we gotta do is sew it together. Once we sew it together, we hem, and we are done with this gorgeous, gorgeous dress. I love how gathering with this elastic, it's so easy, because now I just need to match up my quarter points, and they match up so evenly because I cut my elastic evenly with my quarter points. So I don't have to, gather anymore and try to get it just right and everything. I just think it makes things much, much easier. Let me know below, comment below, and let me know what you think about gathering with clear elastic. Do you think that that's a great idea, or do you absolutely despise it? What is your favorite gathering method? What do you think? Or do you do just the standard 2 rows and gather, 2 straight stitch basting stitches and gather? Or do you gather with your serger? Do you have a gathering foot on your sewing machine? What do you do? What is your favorite way to gather? Let me know below. I know that there's a lot of different ways to gather. We've got a video on different gathering methods and stuff like that. So I just want to know. I'm just curious what it is. And then also let me know below which one you're making first. Which version of this dress are you making first? Are you making the peplum dress? Are you making the to the knee dress? Are you making the maxi? Are you making the high neck? Are you making the scoop neck? Which version are you making? I'm gonna go sew this up. Then we're going to go ahead and hem with a 1/2 inch our sleeves and our bottom of our dress, and we'll be done. So cute. I can't wait to try it on. All right, you all, I'm super excited. What do you think about this combination? Do you think it's gonna be gorgeous? I love it. So now we're gonna go ahead and, like I said, hem our sleeves and hem our bottom, and we are done. I am going to be using my cover stitch to hem, but you can use any kind of stretch stitch on your sewing machine, or what I have been, I almost knocked all my pins over. What I have been using lately is sometimes if I don't want to do my cover stitch, I've been using stretch thread on my sewing machine, and that has worked great as well. So let me go ahead and steam all my hems. And you know, when I do my hems, I just steam. I don't even pin. What do you do? Tell me what you do. Do you pin? Do you steam? Do you just go for it? What do you do? And then we'll be done. You know what? I'm gonna try it on first without hemming it, because I'll hem the sleeves and then I'll try it on without hemming the bottom, because you know what? It's a long dress. It's a wide dress. It's a knit dress. I might not hem the bottom. Do you hem everything you sew? Or do you sometimes are like me and say, don't worry about it? All right, I'm gonna go hem the sleeves and then we'll check it out. All right, and just like that, I am done. Though hemming takes very little time, I have the patience of a 5-year-old. No, not a 5-year-old. I'm insulting 5-year-olds. I have the patience of like no one. So we're gonna leave that raw hem at the bottom. I did hem my sleeves, so be proud of me. I did some hemming. But I think I'm gonna leave the bottom raw. Unless it's too long on me, then I will. But I don't think I will because I am tall. But look at how gorgeous this is. I'm gonna go try it on. I'm so excited for it. Here's my pocket. I love it. I am obsessed. I hope you love this pattern as much as I do. Go sew it up. Let me know which version you're gonna go with first. Let me know if you have any questions. Comment, like, share, subscribe if you haven't so you never miss any of our tutorials. Come find us on Facebook and Instagram. And then when you come find us, check out all the inspiration that everybody's posting and post your own stuff because we want to be inspired by you. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!